Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Also, different setup. I've got a microphone and I'm going to try and use it before I put it on the podcast. Also, if you didn't know, I started a podcast. It's called Deep Thoughts. Deep Thoughts with a double S. I think there's an underscore in between Deep and Thoughts on the YouTube link. But please go check that out. I'm going to try and upload at least once a week. But yeah, I'm trying to be careful not to fucking touch this. Because it's anyways, right, I'm Chan. So today I think I've started off my videos fucking multiple times saying I'm gonna do something different today. But today we're gonna be reading scary Reddit stories because I was gonna film a video with my sister, but I think I'm gonna do that next week because she's out with our friends. So let's get straight into it. Okay, before I start, I need to just clarify, like, these are my own stories. I just found them on Reddit. And yeah, I've seen people do this before and I just thought it'd be quite fun. I was going to do one, like, some spicy, like, fails, like, sex and all that shite. But they were just not PG. Like, they were just, like, don't get us wrong, like, I talk quite openly, especially on the podcast, if you want to go watch that, about stuff like that. But it's still YouTube, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to get demonetized or anything, so let's go. This is something I've never been able to rationalise. For months after my dad died, we were getting landline calls where no one would answer on the other end. This was in 2002, so while robocallers were a thing, it definitely wasn't as prevalent as it is today. But we did assume they were probably wrong numbers or something. We didn't have any phones that displayed caller ID at the time. God, that was fucking hell. Obviously, I wasn't alive in 2002, so I wouldn't know. Well, one time after getting yet another call with only silence on the other end, I jokingly said, "Dad, if that's you, call my cell phone." I want to preface this by saying I rarely ever got calls on my cell phone. I never spam calls in those days. I was 18 with an unlisted number that only my family and friends had. Just a few minutes later, my phone rang with a number I'd never seen before. With what I just said and fresh in my mind, I kind of freaked out and didn't answer. I was on my way out to go swim with my mum, so when we got in the car, I told her what happened. We made the decision to call the number back. It never rang, but there was activity on the other end. Hold on, I've lost where I was. Muffled static and the sound of numbers being dialed slowly. It was the weirdest thing. Both my mum and I said hello, but no one ever answered. Has anyone ever had anything like this happen to them when dialing a number? I've never had it happen before or since. So that was kind of like a short one. I haven't read these before, so that was kind of underwhelming. But like, and this was posted 3 years ago. To be fair, I will say though, like, spam callers and no caller IDs. I mean, me and my friends do no caller IDs all the time. I can't even lie. Like, I feel like everyone's done it before, but that is a little bit weird. Just the static though. Like, I've never had that happen to us before. But leave a comment if you've ever had a weird static phone call before, because I think I'd be. I think I'm gathering that a lot of these stories are American. So just thought I'd add that in. So, I live in Vermont, pretty close to the Canadian border, and my family owns a good chunk of mountain behind our house. Rightio then. I've always loved hiking up our mountain and camping out, but after several instances of being far too close to comfort with coyotes and bears at night, I decided to build a small shack for camping in. See, I wish we had mountains and stuff, yeah, because that would be, like, so exciting. Like, I know obviously I don't want to get attacked by coyotes and that, but the only thing I've got to worry is fucking cats. Like, shit's boring now, man, I actually swear down. I was up to... I built it in my freshman year of high school, and it certainly was nothing to write home about. It was basically a log cabin made from only moose maple, don't know what that is, and completely encased in roofing to prevent rain from blowing through the cracks between my logs. There's the backstory. The camp became a pretty popular spot for my friends and I to hang out. Shoot guns. I forgot the American. Yeah, while it was certainly liberating being in the middle of nowhere, we all knew not on us to get saved if any of us got injured up there. Anyways, I'll start with the story. I realise I'm quite shitty at reading, but hey ho. Anyways, I'll start with the story. I asked one of my close friends to go on a camp out on a Friday night after school. We'd been friends since middle school, so we ended up there multiple times before. After hiking and roasting some hot dogs on a fire, listening to some chill music, it was dark. Whenever it gets dark on these camp outs, we can always hear wildlife, I thought, running around the woods. I always thought it was creepy, but after a long time with no bad encounters with wildlife, I felt pretty okay with the situation every night I was up there, and it more or less just became a near occurrence while camping out. I I always was armed with some sort of weapon going up there for protection, so I never felt that scared. Anyways, after having our fill, we decided to go into the camp and get some sleep in the camp. There was one homemade bunk bed, some floor space and countertop. It's a nice little camping setup there. I took a bunk and my friend took the bottom. I took top bunk and my friend took the bottom. We both fell asleep pretty quickly, but awoke simultaneously at what I would guess was around 1 a.m. to the sound of a church. What the fuck? Choir right outside my camp. It sounded like 30 to 40 people singing, and it was resonating inside my head. Yeah, that will be my cue. And leave. I could distinctly make out some Latin words. Oh, not the Latin. Not the Latin. You just know it's something. But I never pieced together what was being said. I turned down to my friend and was asking if his phone was on, and he said it was dead. Oh, of course it fucking was. The creepiest part about this, after reflecting on it, was that we were perfectly calm. If anything, it was super soothing, and eventually we both fell asleep. In the morning, we both checked around the camp and saw no signs of anyone, let alone 40 people. We were 10 miles away from a town. To this day, I have no clue what happened, but I commonly refer to this thing as the angels because of how angelic it was. Oh, well, I've lost it. There we go. I think about it all the time, but it hasn't happened to me again since. I'm just glad that I have someone to corroborate the story with, or else people would think I'm insane. I don't even know what to say about that. That's actually, like, off-putting. Like, don't get us wrong, like, I've camped quite a few times, and when I was in the Lake District last year, I was with this thing and we went camping, and don't get us wrong, like, it was pitch black and it's really scary, but, like, and we heard, like, things outside the tent, but obviously I think it just was, like, wildlife and that. But, like, if I heard a fucking choir, I would be running for the hills. To be fair, though, like, I probably would have to investigate. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I would not just be sitting in my tent. But, like, after watching all them horror movies, probably not best to investigate. But hey-ho, that's it. I've never heard anything like that. Right, now, the next story is about the Appalachian Mountains. And I watch quite a lot of spooky paranormal things, right? And the Appalachian Mountains never feel, like, scary. It's like, if you don't know, people, like, it's like these old tales and stuff. I do believe it to be true. I just think some things on TikTok are a little bit like, but apparently, like, you shouldn't whistle at night in the forest, like, all this stuff. But if you don't know, get to know, go on TikTok, watch it. It's actually really interesting. Okay. Originally, I'm from West Virginia. I moved around between the Appalachian and the Midwest some as a kid. Between the ages of 10 to 13, I lived in rural Kentucky in the foothills of one of the oldest mountain ranges on the planet. I think that would be, like, so exciting as well. Like, I'd love to live somewhere like that. I lived with my dad and my grams. We lived in what we called a holler. Think of it like a cul-de-sac in between a set of foothills. We lived in the middle of the neighbourhood with nothing but family on both sides. No one lived across from us or behind us because of the foothills. When I moved in, my grams had some rules I had to follow at the time. I chalked them up to hillbilly stranger danger. There were things like don't mess around the wild animals, don't go out into the woods alone. When they got a little weird, don't whistle. There's the whistle, that's what I was saying. If you hear your name, don't answer and don't go to it. And if you see someone in the woods, you might know, no you didn't, and just come home. This experience happened in August when I was 11. My dad and I had mowed path through the tall grass and berries bush to the left of the double wide we lived in. We camped out there a lot because it was close enough that we could check on my grams. Now, we're in the woods, things are louder than you think. You have animal life, bugs, chattering, wind through the trees and grass. There was a stream that ran along the road. Hold on, I'm trying to, like... Where was it up to? Ran along the road you could easily hear. That night, we added the campfire to that list. My dad decided to go back up to the house about quarter mile to get more beer and check on grams. Before he left, he told me not to mess with the fire. Duh. After a few moments of watching the fire, things started to get quiet. Oh, nah, you just know. Like, really quiet. The wind had all but stopped. Bug and animal sounds were all gone, and the stream sounded like it was miles away. I was getting uncomfortable, even though I'd been left at the campground before like this. See, these were the TikToks that I kept saying, like, if the woods go silent, oof, run, bitch. Then I started to smell and taste it. The fuck? Why is it so ominous? It was in the back of my throat out of nowhere. This awful metal tang. After a few more moments of dread, my dad came back. He was mad right away. Said he could smell burning metal coming up the trail. He accused me of tossing beer cans in the fire. I told him I didn't even. I pointed at the fire to prove it. He said there was a storm coming in and we needed to get back home, and he let it go. We left the tent and started our way back. Now, the very cool but weird thing about the lightning in the woods, this dense, is when the lightning hits, it lights up everything in the middle of it's in the middle of the day. Well, up until the front of the trees. After the fire set of the trees, it's pitch black. There are no street lights, and unless you have lights on your property, it's completely black. That was like the Lake District. Like, I know like you've probably all experienced it when you go somewhere and it's like no cities and stuff, and it is just pitch black. Like, I remember I couldn't even see my hand in front of my face, man. It is like, it's slightly unsettling, but so it's pitch black, lightly raining, and other than the dim lights from the house windows, there's nothing. I'm eating watermelon, as one does in August in the mountains when the first clap of lightning hits. Everything is as bright as it can be. After the second passes, it's a pitch black aging. Next clap of lightning comes, and that's when I kind of see it. On the porch, past the yard, over the stream, past the road and ditches on either side, just past the... Jesus Christ, still going. First line of trees, I could see the silhouette of it. Then it goes dark. This is also when I can't start to taste the same awful burning metal. I'm not really sure what I saw, so I kind of just stay still. It's just a few moments before the lightning hits again. The figure is now closer, standing side by side to the trees. Then it's back again. I'm standing now, not sure what to do. It's been 20 years to this day, and I've tried, but I can never fully describe what I saw. The thing's head wasn't proportioned to its body. I'm getting chills. The thing's head wasn't properly proportionate to its body. The arms were too long and the torso didn't fit right. It was like asked a blind person to draw what a correct person looked like. It just didn't look correct. Once the lightning hit, again, the thing standing in the middle of the road. Not wanting to see this thing get any closer, I go inside. That was the right thing to do. My grams is doing the dishes and I ask why I'm inside. Tell her I think I saw something. She almost immediately gets my dad on his feet, telling him to shut and lock the windows and doors. My dad, vaguely drunk, obeys. Oh, the dad was drunk. I mean, I can't say I blame him, like. That night I slept with her. Like, not in a weird way. The next day we discovered the tent door is torn off. Oh, not Leanne. It didn't look like an animal. Things weren't cut off or shredded, but looked like someone took and pulled it apart. My uncle, who lived a mile or so, had 8 chickens killed. Heads gone, no blood. The next few days, all the kids had to wait for the bus with an adult. My dad had to be late for work for almost 3 weeks. Anytime I tried to talk about it, I just had the subject change. I just figured I was a kid and it wasn't important or real. It wasn't until years why did I say years like that? I finally understood. I was in my early 20s and some cousins were in a town for Halloween. As I was telling the story, my aunt Greta, I don't know what that is. Don't you tell them that. Don't you put that evil on them. Oh shit, I hope I'm not getting back. No, I don't claim bad karma for reading this. After, I couldn't help but think back all the times I tried to talk about and how I was shunned. My kid mind not realising it was as simple as a subject change, but then actively shushing me. Once I started dipping my toes into Reddit, I realised there was a name for this thing. The same and I'm not saying its name. Aunt had called the day at the party and the other had seen it. It begins with a G and ends with man. Like goat. I'm not going to say the rest because I don't like saying their names. What bothers me the most is how to this day I couldn't describe any feature, nor have I ever tasted that awful burning metal taste. So friends, if you ever find yourself in the foothills of Kentucky, please remember my grams rules. I will remember your grams rules. That's what I was saying about like these tales that like people say and like, don't go in the woods at night, whistle, like, and just if you hear your name, no you didn't, if you see anything, no you didn't, run, just get out. And you know what's funny, I'll always listen to them because that shit is scary. Like, what would you do? How would you react? Like, I actually think I'd just fucking, nah. My back is absolutely killing. I'm having to like, oh, my back. Right, okay, let's go. This is another one about the Appalachian Mountains, by the way, Gels, because I love hearing about the Appalachian Mountains, so let's go. I was living in a moderately... I actually have problems reading, so I'm sorry if this is just irritating. I was living in a moderately remote, about a mile out of town, up an isolated road, area of West North Carolina, back in about 2002. God, it's always 2002. My brother and I, at the time, though each other were asleep and I consolidated our experiences the next day, were sharing a room in a wood cabin nestled only about 10 feet from the mountainside. In the dark, early morning, we heard some pretty unearthly sounds that the next day we compared to all local animal sounds, and none of them were even close. They honestly sounded closer to Jurassic Park, fake, mechanical, modified whale, dolphin sounds than anything biological I've ever heard before or since, and heard heavy walking on our roof. That then dropped to the front porch of the house, then back to the roof before going away. The next day, we saw footprints in the snow that were, as best as I can explain, most like kangaroo footprints. Way too big to be rabbits, but there aren't any kangaroos in North Carolina. We followed the tracks and they dead-ended in the middle of our yard, at least 6 feet from the tree line with snow cuff behind them, kind of stuff you see when someone jumps from a point. But again, there was nowhere nearby to jump to within any reasonable distance to any bipedal animal or even human. Jesus, that's a huge word. It was just like it took it directly up. I'm not a believer in the supernatural. I regularly dismiss most things that happen. I don't even believe in religion, etc. But this is one thing that I just can't explain, despite my best efforts to explain. And I've tried repeatedly since it happened, but I've got nothing. I'm stumped. The most likely thing on the surface would have been a cougar, but it doesn't make sense for that. I've heard a ton of cougar sounds, seen cougar footprints, etc. They don't match up. None of it do. It wasn't a cougar. It wasn't even close. I still, to this day, 10 years later, have no idea what it was. And to this day, I'm honestly still a bit tiny freaked out to stay at my mum's house. Though thankfully, I've never run across anything like that since. It's just weird, like, imagine, like, you think it's normal, like, oh, like, you put it down an animal or whatever, you think it's a little bit weird, and then you go the next day and the absolute dreaded pit in your stomach of realising, like, no, bitch, that was no animal. But what was it? What the fuck was it? Right, this is the last one because it's kind of long, but why is my top doing this? Genuinely. Right, there we go. Let me start off by saying I've lived in the Appalachian Mountains all my life. Right then, you bougie bitch. And I've experienced a lot of strange things. My family was Irish and settled in, don't know what that is, but I currently live in the NC portion of these wonderful mountains. That being said, I've learned a lot about what really lurks in these dark woods, but this was like nothing I had experienced before. How every story starts to be a little bit more explorative. It all began with my golden retriever Ozzy. Growing up, like I'd never been before, he literally never growls, so that had me already uncomfortable, but this growl was bone chilling. I'm sorry, but my two golden retrievers aren't producing any sort of growl that's bone chilling. Must be some hardcore fucking golden retriever, like, so. It was like he was getting ready to have the fight for his life or something. I took both him and my other dog out around 11 p.m, and he would not leave my side. I noticed that the workshop door was open, so I walked down the close and locked it up. I literally just forgot where I am. Why am I actually shit at this? The entire time he was glued to my side. Ozzy also has kept trying to get in between my legs, still growling and all of his hair sticking straight up like a feral animal. The second I closed the door, all hell breaks loose in the woods. It sounded like 50 full-grown men had broken out into full sprint, tearing through the woods. Trees were shaking and branches falling. In my life, I have never been that scared. We got back in the house before I shit my pants and got my pistol/mag light to figure out what the hell was out there. When the dog and I got back outside, we were surrounded by what sounded like people mumbling. It was everywhere. I shined the light all over the woods and couldn't see anything, but the sound was coming from all around. It sounded as if you've got a full gym of people to say to baby mumble. You could almost make out words. That's why I didn't think it was an animal. I almost immediately felt sick, like I was having a mix between a panic attack and the full swing of the flu. Back inside the house, it sounded like people were walking around all night. The windows were creaking and you could clearly hear the sound of shoes on gravel. The mumbling never stopped. In full caps. Every time I got up to check the house, my feet would not touch the floor and it would get dead silent. You couldn't hear birds, crickets, frogs, or anything. I was terrified and didn't sleep a wink. The air felt thick and evil all night. That's the only way I could explain the feeling. Imagine your soaking wet quilt being tossed over you. That's how I felt. I'm looking for any answers as to what this could be. This wasn't like the normal spooky stories my grandma and great uncles used to tell me. Maybe I'll do one more. I'm quite enjoying this actually. Yeah, no, like that's just not. No. What would you actually do? Like, what would you actually do if that happened? Like, I'd be packing up my car, taking me little 2 doggies, and I'll be out the car. I'm not gonna say the C word. But yeah. Again, my last one is actually gonna be this time, and it's still gonna be about the Appalachian Mountains because we love the Appalachian Mountains. Had a friend who swore up and down his woods was haunted. One night during the winter, he had a party, and when people left, they thought they saw the eyes of a person reflected in the woods. Bear in mind, if people are drunk, mind, like, they might be saying shit, you know what I mean, sort of thing, type of D. We went out to check the next morning. We found tracks that looked like the foot of a turkey, only had 4 toes in front. It also started out very small in size and slowly increased in size until it reached about 2 or 3 feet in length. Then it shrunk down in size again. Okay, shapeshifter car. When walking his woods, sometimes people would see a man with long hair, but had looked like he hadn't showered in months. He would move along tree lines, but you wouldn't see his body bob up and down like he was walking. He would just slide along the path. You could never see below his chest. I remember while camping there once and mocking the idea of a ghost. Oh, don't ever mock ghosts. Just don't do it. I turned away from the fire, back really quick, only to see this faceless head out of the corner of my eyes, as if someone had walked right up behind me and was about whispering in my ear. When I turned around, he had the same unkempt hair, but no face. I screamed and jumped, a foot in the air. Yeah, babe, I would too, don't you worry. My friend said occasionally he would go on trips and leave the house, and his sister would wake up in the middle of the night to see a version of him standing in the hallway or her doorway again with extremely unkempt hair, and he would never respond, but she would ask him why he didn't go to bed. What the fuck? I do history and I've never heard of this. In the 80s during the Satanic Panic. Right then. Some crazy names, man, but they're kind of great. Like, there probably was alleged the site of witches' coven. Oh, nah, I don't like witches. No. That had sacrificed to a demon and the owners were chased out of town. I'd post a screenshot of the newspaper discussing it if it wouldn't get away in my hometown. Their forest used to be a Boy Scout camp, and I've slept in one of the leftover logging camps from when it was. It also had one of the oldest schoolhouses in the state. Absolutely fucking not. Faceless shit is not for me. Get away from us right now. I swear down if I ever... Nah. Comment what you would do. Genuinely, I'm curious for everything that you would do because I would shit my pants. And also, if you've got any stories, like, genuinely let us know. So, yeah. Okay, gels. Now, that was the end of reading scary Reddit stories. If you just want us to do it again, I will. I'm also trying out my new mic. But like, comment, subscribe, and also go check out my podcast channel, Deep Thoughts. I'll probably write just in the description or something of this video. But if you like this video, I will do another one again. Maybe I'll do a different topic or anything. But as always, I love yous all. And also subscribe, go to my Instagram, do whatever. Show me some support, please. Love yous all.